All right, what's going on, guys? My name is Ross, or Mr. Boss for the win, and I'm just sitting here in my GTA Online PC garage, and what I want to talk to you guys about today is Grand Theft Auto Online's inflation rate from 2013 to 2016 to where we are right now, and how the prices of DLC vehicles have changed accordingly. So there's two things that have kind of sparked this video that I've wanted to make for a little bit now. The first of which was floating around on my Twitter feed the other day. It was this image right here of like what $40 of GTA 5, DLC will get you. And on the left, it shows both Grand Theft Auto 4 expansions that have, multiple storylines and vehicles and weapons and whatnot. And then on the right, it's got a T20 with a shark card. I'm guessing they're implying that you need two of those $20 shark cards to buy and fully upgrade the T20, which is about accurate because that shark card will get you about $2.5 million. The T20 over $2 million by the time you customize it and whatnot. So that's about accurate. And I thought about that and I was like, dang, that is pretty crazy. And it made me want to go look back at some of the old vehicles in the game and compare them to some of the new vehicles in terms of prices and just how much things have changed from 2013 all the way to 2016. Now, another thing that inspired me to make this video was a discovery made by WildBrick142 on the GTA Forum site. So we all know that Rockstar is adding or did add some of the stock cars into Grand Theft Auto Online. So they're available on the Southern San Andreas Super Auto site. Let me scroll down so I can show them to you right here. So they added the Burgershot Stallion, Pizvazo Dominator, and the Redwood Gauntlet. And it's crazy because Rockstar had original prices for them. They then cut those prices and then made them more expensive. So on the screen right now, these are the original prices of the four stock cars. The Stallion was only $138,000, Dominator $127,000, Gauntlet $115,000, and Buffalo being the most expensive at $150,000. That's not bad at all. However, let's take a look, obviously, at the prices right now if you do have to pay for them. Stallion, $227,000. Dominator, $315,000. Gauntlet, $230,000. And Buffalo, $535,000. So basically, all the cars were multiplied by 2, except for the Buffalo, the Sprunk Buffalo S, which they've essentially put a premium on and multiplied that price times 3 just because they haven't included it in the game. So it's just little things like that that have inspired me to make this video because I just see stuff like that and I'm like, man, that is absolutely crazy. So let's not waste any more time though. We've already talked about so much. So let's jump straight into the video. Now I should state before we get started, I'm well aware that inflation works with everything in life. To give you guys an example, if you don't know what it means, it's basically when the value of your dollar either increases or decreases. So for example, in like the 1960s or 1970s, you could buy a soda for like 5 cents. Now it costs like $1, $1.50, $2. That's the kind of way inflation works. So let's go take a look back at some of the vehicles. I know there are other aspects that have changed from DLCs as well, like if we look at clothing, if we look at weapons, but for the majority of this, we're going to be taking a look at the vehicles, which in my opinion is the most important. So if we're going to go back to the roots of Grand Theft Auto Online, we have to start at the very first DLC. And this was the Beachbum update. And originally these cars were free. Now they're not free now, but I mean, still look at their prices. I mean, $25,000 for this van. You've got the BF Bifta, which is $75,000. The Canis Kalahari is only $40,000. So not that expensive at all. Even if you missed out on the free opportunity, I mean, these vehicles combined aren't even over $200,000. And if you take a look at another aspect of the Beachbum, which was just another version of the Sanchez, that's only $8,000. So in total, the cost of the Beachbum update was so minimal. And it was our first update. I totally get that. I'm sure Rockstar knew that and might have known we might not have had a lot of money. But still, when you start from the beginning, the prices of things not that expensive. However, let's move on to what I'm going to call our first two real updates. And they're basically on these two rows right here. So the first one was the business update. These kind of launched the first real cars in game. So you can see the Albany Alpha right here, which is a nice vehicle, a nice luxury vehicle. It's only $150,000. Not that bad at all when you think about it. And when we move over to the Dinka Jester, $240,000 for one of the best sports cars in the game. That's nothing compared to what we've seen so far. And then, of course, the supercar of the update, the Grotty Turismo R, which is only $500,000. So when you consider that that is a supercar, we haven't seen supercars reach that low of price in, like I said, nearly 2 years. That's insane. The update right above it was the High Life update. I believe it came out a month or two afterwards. It also featured the Anus Huntley S, which again, until the XLS came out, the Armored XLS, this is the best SUV in the game, and it was only $195,000. You see the Dubace Massacro, which its race car version, which we'll touch on a little bit later, is still one of the best cars in the game, best sports car. That's only $275,000. And then Pegassi Zentorno, which became one of the best supercars for the longest time, only $725,000. When you think about it right there, that mark is cheaper than some sports cars are now in the game, which is crazy. Really, the next biggest one after that was the I Am Not a Hipster update, which featured a ton of new vehicles into the game, 7 to be exact. And look at the prices of these. They're nothing to like make your bank account scream. $400,000, $160,000, $120,000, $85,000, $140,000, $200,000. Now, I know these vehicles are not sports cars, they're not supercars, but at the same rate, the prices are still cheap. They're not exorbitant. You could buy all the vehicles and still not be out of millions of dollars. I mean, when you add all these prices up, they're not that bad. And if we go to the Festive Surprise 2014 DLC, you can see the price is still cheap for the Rat Truck, Slam Van, and even the race car editions of the Massacro and the Jester are not all that expensive, $385,000, $350,000, and we know that they have better performance stats. And this was also the first time that Rockstar had introduced liveries onto vehicles in the game. So if you think about it, better performance, new liveries, and they're still only about $100,000 more expensive, which is nothing compared to some of the stuff that we've seen today. Now we're into 2015. If we move on to the Heist update, you can see some of the vehicles right here. Dinka Enduro, $48,000. Gang Burrito, $65,000. Regular Kuruma, $95,000. The Armored Kuruma, a little expensive. This was our first real armored vehicle along with the Insurgent that was added in this update, so I can see the premium on that, so I can understand why that was a little bit more expensive than the other vehicles. But at the same rate, this is when I also started to notice that things were getting kind of expensive. So the two vehicles that were on the Legendary Motorsports site for the Heist update, the Casco Sports Classic, still not terrible right there, $680,000, and the Principe Electro bike, which was $750,000, which I know it was a rare bike because it had the KERS system, but that also matched the price nearly of the Zentorno. So I noticed that something was starting to happen right around this point, right after the Heist update. And then immediately after the Heist update, we got both versions of Ill-Gotten Gains. And that's where I started to notice things starting to take a little bit of a twist. So right now we've got some of our Ill-Gotten Gains vehicles. The Anus Windsor, $845,000. Benefactor Sterling GT, $1 million basically. Osiris, essentially $2 million right there. Dinka Vindicator, $630,000. That's part one in the start of part two. We then get the T20, which became the fastest supercar in the game, but the price increased again. And these cars released about a month apart from each other, which is insane. So you can just see the crazy, difference in not only price, but speed and then the release time. And then also you got the Coil Brawler, which is kind of an underrated off-road vehicle, $715,000. So we're starting to see the price rise of items around the mid-2015 point. And now that really brings us to the last three, in my opinion, major DLCs added to the game: Executives and Other Criminals, Finance and Felony, and Cunning Stunts. So you can see some of the prices here. Mamba, $1 million. Verlier, $700,000. If we keep on moving up, we're going into Finance and Felony territory. Windsor Drop, $900,000, which is essentially the Windsor in a convertible version that's now $900,000. So just when you compare it to its original cost right there, $55,000 more just for a convertible option. Crazy stuff right there. And then we get into the sports and supercars of Finance and Felony and all the new ones. So the Vapid FMJ, $1.75 million for what it actually does and where it stacks up on the list. Pretty crazy. $1.135 for the Pfister 811. Dubachi 770, $700,000 for, again, where it stacks up. And then we're getting into some of the big boys right here. So we've obviously got the X80 Pro Proto, the most expensive supercar in the game, $2.7 million. Reaper 1.5, a NIS RE7B 2.475, Progentiris 2.55, Imper 2 million, and then the newest Ocelot Lynx, which I think was the tipping point for so many people, one of the worst sports cars added into the game at its price point, $1.735 million, which is just absolutely insane. So just let those prices soak in for a little bit. Just this little row right here is just the accumulation of what we've been going through over the past few weeks. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to scroll down to some of the older vehicles. Look at that. Look at the difference there. The difference between the X80 Proto and the Zentorno is $2 million. That is insane. Just the inflation rate that we've seen of some of these vehicles that have been added into the game. And that so far is pretty much just what we've seen on the Legendary Motorsports site. Remember when Rockstar added these two vehicles into the game, the Swift Deluxe and the Luxor Deluxe, which are the most overpriced items ever. $10 million for a gold jet that allows you to smoke cigars and champagne in the back. That's crazy. $5 million for essentially the same thing in helicopter form. When those were added to the game, I literally could not believe my eyes that was actually a thing. And there's some more examples that I could pull from various sites like Warstock. Like the Technical, $1 million. It's a pickup truck with a machine gun. It doesn't have bulletproof windows. It doesn't have bulletproof tires. I think that is a joke as far as an armored militarized vehicle should go. But those are just a few of the examples that I'm talking about, and just the crazy way that the prices have increased over the years from 2013 all the way to 2016 in Grand Theft Auto Online. And I'm sure not a lot of people do what I just did by going back and looking at some of the prices and then ultimately comparing them to what they now are in 2013. And yes, I totally understand inflation is a normal part of every business, is a part of life, is a part of the way society works. But it's just crazy to see it, how quickly it happened from 2013 to 2016 in Grand Theft Auto Online. And I didn't even go over every example today. I'm sure there's some that I missed. I'm sure there's other things that you might have pointed out with a different class of vehicles or whatnot. But I just thought this would be interesting because a lot of people have been talking about it recently, obviously with the addition of all these expensive cars and people trying to fund them, and it's just crazy what's going on in Grand Theft Auto Online. So anyways, let me know what you think about some of the differences we talked about from 2013 to 2016 in Grand Theft Auto Online. Have you noticed sort of the same trend? I'll be interested to hear from you guys in the comments section down below. If you did go and enjoy this video though, a like rating would of course be awesome. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do the guy doing the thumbs up. But if you did enjoy, be sure to drop it a like. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.